right now, so much of mental health is reactive, where it's like you have to reach this almost bottom, rock bottom, before you even realize, oh, wait, I need to get help. And we want to, and this is such a core part of Real, is we want to completely change that towards this world where it's proactive.
You were always very entrepreneurial. You're an author, you've pursued entrepreneurial projects as you dove further into healthcare. And now you're in the C-suite as CMO for Real, an organization focused on increasing access to high quality mental health care and looking to change the conversation around mental health. Did you always have this sort of path in mind for yourself, from your MBA days, I guess, or med school days to today? What did this path to the C-suite and your current work look like?
Yeah, I think that I have always had this sense of really wanting to combine business with medicine. And in particular, having been interested in healthcare, really from my kind of from a young age when I started to be interested in healthcare, was really always interested in this much bigger picture, this sense of how do we, when we think about healthcare, how do we solve healthcare problems for entire communities? And I think that when I was in college, I studied government and felt like policy is a really phenomenal way of solving those problems. And as I went on and entered medical school, when I was in medical school, that's really when the first wave of direct to consumer health tech companies came around. And I felt like, wow, this is such an incredible way to scale what we're doing. If we think about the traditional patient doctor relationship and encounter of this, 10, 15, 20, 30-minute appointment with your doctor, and then the opportunity to actually have, like a mobile device in your hand, and that allows you to reach millions of patients. That whole change in mindset for healthcare was completely transformational. And that's exactly what I was experiencing when I was in medical school. That's actually what made me want to then move out to Stanford for residency and immerse myself in the Silicon Valley way of thinking, way of problem solving. And so from that time, I was really interested in, again, that, what then does the big picture look like? And just as policy is able to reach so many people, what is the role then of business, and what is the role of entrepreneurship in reaching reaching so many people? And for me, having had this interest in mental health, it really meant, okay, how do we take what is happening in the rest of healthcare and apply that to mental health, thinking about all these big questions like access, equality, and really thinking about the social side of things, where we know that there's so many social inequalities. How do we leverage things like technology and entrepreneurship to really solve so many of these important problems? And really, at the end of the day, I think entrepreneurship and technology uniquely allow you to solve these problems. So I think that, to answer your question, I think that it had always been something that had been a way of problem solving that really fascinated me. I don't know that I would have said that I saw myself. I didn't even know what like a chief medical officer was probably in medical school. So that part I think was definitely new. I think I thought I would be a part of a startup for sure. The entrepreneurial journey is something that had always appealed to me, and I think was just like a natural way of thinking about things, even from my early days, in high school, really. But to be a C-suite person, I think that's something I might not have necessarily thought of. And it's been such an incredible delight to be able to really make decisions on this level, and see how to be able to have that unique vantage point, I think, where I'm able to draw upon my clinical expertise. And I do still treat patients, and be able to see what's going on in my patients' lives, and then applying that to what we're doing at Real, and thinking, okay, how do we then translate that to the experience of, thousands, tens of thousands of people across the country, and what then do they need so that we can really best solve their individual problems, but do that at scale.
Mm. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It makes perfect sense, right? Business has a way to disrupt certain, like the intersection of tech and the mental health, like it's true. We haven't seen transformation of a space like this for so long. Like seeing speaking to a counselor or someone on your cell phone or texting. Now we have with people. It is really cool to see how things have, like you said, you're able to reach more people. You're able to increase access to the healthcare and scale. In a single practice, you can see how many patients in a day, but it's
you nailed it.
amazing.
You absolutely nailed it. If we look at the history of mental health, actually, like Prozac came around in the 1980s, and that was one of the biggest transformations historically in healthcare. And then if we look at therapy hasn't really changed in like 100 years. Like literally the way that Freud was practicing therapy, it's not that different really, like as of like 5 years ago compared to what it was like 100 years ago. And so the fact that we have these technologies, to me, what's interesting, actually, there are a few things that are really interesting. One is simply, we all like literally live with our devices, right? I mean, like, unfortunately, I will admit, I even like have this like 2 feet away from me when I'm sleeping, and I tell my patients not to do that, but I still do it, and I know I'm not supposed to be doing it, right? But like truly, we live with this device, right? And what's so powerful about it is that it does give us this opportunity to deliver care. But I actually think one of the things even that like where the next phase actually of innovation is that it allows us to actually measure and track things about human behavior that we never have before. And that's like this amazing, unique insight into the human brain that we literally have never had. And so the ability to then see what's going on with people is going to allow us to diagnose people early, to see is someone struggling much early, like days, weeks, months, even years earlier than we historically have been able to. And then we can reach them earlier and allow them to then get treatment earlier. And so really, where right now so much of mental health is reactive, where it's like you have to reach this almost rock bottom before you even realize, oh wait, I need to get help. And we want to, and this is such a core part of Real, is we want to completely change that towards this world where it's proactive and you're really thinking about how do we optimize health, and how do we not only keep you well and healthy, but make sure that you're getting that help in that earliest stage possible and not when you hit rock bottom. So really changing what that whole world and our entire kind of concept of mental health even looks like.